You are watching Shalom World News. I'm 𝐷𝐉𝐔𝐾 from Lansing in Michigan, and these are your latest news headlines from around the world. Firefighters say that a blaze that ripped through the thatched roof of a 1,000-year-old English church has caused real significant damage to the historic building. The fire at St Mary's Parish Church in the Norfolk village of 𝐷𝐶𝐻𝐿 is thought to have been started by a spark from welding equipment being used by workmen who were fixing the church's roof. 10 fire engines and around 60 firefighters were called to the scene of the fire at about 10:45 on Wednesday night. The Church of St Mary the Virgin dates back to the 11th century. It was Catholic until the English Reformation of the 16th century, when it was converted for use by the new Anglican Church of England. An investigation into the cause of the fire has been launched. A new law in the state of Tennessee that restricts abortions based upon sex, race, or a prenatal diagnosis of Down syndrome has been given a legal green light. On Wednesday, the 6th US Circuit Court of Appeals allowed the law to come into effect. That's despite having initially blocked it last September. The law was first enacted in July 2020, but has been stalled by legal objections ever since. The legislation also bans abortion after the point at which a fetal heartbeat can be detected, which is as early as 6 weeks into pregnancy. The pro-life campaign group Susan B. Anthony List welcomed this week's court decision and described Tennessee's new law as a landmark, which they said reflects the overwhelming consensus of most Americans who oppose lethal discrimination against unborn children and want far greater limits on abortion than is presently the case. Tennessee's new law could still be subject to further legal challenge. It could also be impacted by impending rulings by the US Supreme Court relating to the issue of abortion. Meanwhile, the governor of South Dakota has signed a new bill banning males who claim to be female from competing in girls' or women's sports. The move by Governor Kristi Noem makes South Dakota the 10th state in the US to ban so-called transgender athletes from female-only competitions. Governor Noem says her bill is a defence of federal civil rights legislation barring sex discrimination in schools and educational programs. According to several media reports, the new regulation will apply to all state-accredited schools in South Dakota. The bill is due to go into force on July the 1st, but it may encounter further legal hurdles before then. Thousands of people across France have taken part in a week-long series of events focused on the theme of persecuted Christians. The events have been organised by the pontifical charity Aid to the Church in Need. They took place between January the 20th and 28th under the theme of Night of Witness. Those who took part saw portraits of 13 Christian martyrs killed for their faith in 2021, carried in procession to altars at various cathedrals and basilicas in various cities, including Marseille, Chartres, and Paris. Meanwhile, the World Council of Churches has urged the Palestinian Authority to probe the recent attacks upon Christians in the West Bank. The appeal by the WCC comes in the wake of 2 attacks last week against Christians in the cities of Nablus and Bethlehem. On January the 24th, unidentified assailants manhandled a Greek Orthodox monk belonging to Jacob's Well Monastery in Nablus. Then 4 days later, a Christian family in Nahalim village near Bethlehem was attacked during a land dispute with neighbours, resulting in 2 members of the family being hospitalised. The World Council of Churches, which is a global coalition of Orthodox churches and Protestant communities, say the culprits must be brought to justice and that such attacks must never happen again. The Holy See has opened its first ever apostolic nunciature or Vatican embassy in the United Arab Emirates. The nunciature is situated in the Gulf nation's capital city of Abu Dhabi. To mark the occasion, one of the Vatican's most senior officials offered Holy Mass in Abu Dhabi's St Joseph's Cathedral on Wednesday. Archbishop Edgar Peña-Parra of the Secretariat of State told the congregation that the physical presence of an apostolic nunciature is a further sign of the Holy Father's pastoral solicitude for the people of the United Arab Emirates, especially the Catholic community, since the nunciature is rightly called the Pope's house. The Vatican and the United Arab Emirates have enjoyed diplomatic relations since 2007. Sri Lanka's most senior Catholic cleric has refused to attend the country's official Independence Day ceremony on February the 4th because of a lack of, quote, real freedom in the country. Cardinal Malcolm Ranjith of Colombo has been critical of the Sri Lankan government over its investigations into the Easter Sunday bombings of 2019. They were a series of coordinated Islamist attacks upon churches and other locations which killed 267 people, and injured approximately 500 others. Cardinal Ranjith says the government's investigations have not yet revealed the real conspiracy. He's also critical of an investigation into the recent discovery of a grenade in a Catholic church in a suburb of Colombo last month. Finally, Pope Francis has appointed a new Archbishop of Glasgow in Scotland. He's the Right Reverend William Nolan, who is currently the Bishop of Galloway in the southwest of the country. The 68-year-old cleric has held that post for the past 7 years. He's also the chair of the Scottish Bishops' Commission on Justice and Peace. Bishop Nolan says he was initially shocked to be appointed as Archbishop of Glasgow, but he was now turning his thoughts to the challenges that lie ahead. Bishop Nolan succeeds Archbishop Philip Talia, who died in January of last year. The roots of the Archdiocese of Glasgow date back to the 6th century and to the city's founder and patron, St Kentigern. Bishop Nolan will be installed as the 41st successor of St Kentigern on February the 26th. Congratulations to Bishop-elect Nolan and Moto Sanos. Well, that's your latest news headlines for now. Do join us for more tomorrow. You can also visit us at swnews.org for news updates. Shalom.